All right, Tits McGee.
Is it Titsy?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. It's just V.
It's Titsy.
It's Titsy.
Yeah, it's Titsy.
Get your hand on my shirt. I do like this blush pink on me, though. It's kind of cute. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Relationshit, our weekly after show about our podcast, Relationship. We are your hosts, the Bertellis. I'm Marko.
I'm Tony.
And it is another Wednesday.
Woo-woo.
We're so excited to be here. Happy coronavirus. No end in sight. We are trying to survive, and we hope everyone is doing well, staying safe, and keeping themselves inside, and trying to flatten the curve. That is the goal right now, and I think that is really important. That being said, this Wednesday we had another episode of the podcast, and we hope you all enjoyed it. It is called Heard About Us. In light of everything that is going on within the world, Tony and I thought it necessary to kind of, have something a little bit fun, and something a little bit more lighthearted to talk about. What did you think?
Yeah, agreed.
And I think it was a nice little fun episode. So we rated the top 36 LGBTQ plus couples that have been on television over the past decade. And we went through all of them. Some of the shows we are not incredibly familiar with.
Right.
We are still asking for your help in telling us what shows we need to make sure that we're watching, because there wasn't enough time in the past. There is now, especially since we're at home.
Nothing but binging.
Yeah, and so it's time for us to start watching some of these shows and getting to know some of these couples a little bit better. That being said, we went through all 36 of them, and Tony and I decided that we are going to tell you all about our top three, and kind of chit-chat about this for a little bit for the episode of Relationshit. That being said, Tony, I'm going to give you the honors of giving us your first, which is your number three. Yep.
Number 3. If I could get my phone to work. Saul and Robert from Grace and Frankie.
That's mine.
Really?
That is hysterical.
We didn't tell each other.
No, I had no idea.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, that's mine.
Why is that your number 3?
So first of all, I'm not an ageist, and I do love old love. And I think that it's really interesting. I like their story. I like the concept of them being really, really good friends for an extended period of time, but never really being able to talk about their feelings for one another because they were married, they had kids, they had a life, and then them feeling like they were going to ruin all of that was kind of their fear. And then finally they decided to commit to loving one another and going forward with it. And I just think it's probably a tale as old as time. It's not super unfamiliar, but I think it's beautiful.
And for me, it was, definitely those things. What got me was so often when you hear about the older generation of gays, it's all like the doom and gloom, the depressing, the repression,
Sure.
like all that. And then the new ones, it's all the liberated and the sex and the blah, blah, blah. And what I liked about this was they got to have their happy ending. It wasn't depressing, right? Everyone lived. They all made better friendships. The family came back together. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, they're the best. I love them. So who's your number 2 then?
My number 2, Schitt's Creek.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yours is David and Patrick. Patrick. We're not doing Pat. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, I love a good comedy. I love their love. I think it's super cute. The 2 best scenes for me is when Patrick first tells him that he likes him, and then when he proposes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. My number 2 is Arizona and Callie.
No, of course, from Grey's Anatomy.
So to give a little, lesbian love on the show, I decided that was necessary. But beyond
You're doing it out of obligation?
No, I said beyond that. But beyond that, what I did love, their love was so authentic. First of all, I loved the way that Arizona pursued Callie. And I loved that it was kind of an experience. And I love that Callie was really queer. Because she did have that sexual relationship with Mark for a really long time. They ended up having a child together. Arizona was also a part mom in that situation. So I just liked the way that whole thing panned out. I hated the way Shonda wrote the end of their story.
Awful.
But I do enjoy. Shauna wasn't all responsible for it, so I take that back. But
no, if she's gonna be God, she's gonna be all responsible.
But I will say that I just enjoyed their relationship a lot. So
and their wedding was fantastic.
Their wedding was incredible.
Yeah, and the way they did that episode, the juxtaposition against the heterosexual wedding, how the heterosexual wedding was all obligation and legal, and the lesbian wedding was all about love.
Yep.
I thought that was fantastic.
It was beautiful. So who's your number one?
My number one is also from Grey's Anatomy, also a lesbian couple, and also Dr. Torres, Callie, but her and Dr. Han.
Oh, I forgot about that relationship, but why is that your number one?
Do you remember the scene where Dr. Han
I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
Where she realizes that she has feelings for Callie and that she's a full lesbian.
Yeah.
And she calls her glasses.
Mm-hmm.
She calls her glasses. She's like when you were a kid and you didn't know how to see and you got your first pair of glasses and everything made sense.
And she said,
as a person who experienced that, as a person who experienced that and was like coming out of the mall and like slamming into pillars and then like on the drive home from the mall, like looking at billboards and seeing that they actually had stuff on them, like I totally got it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so well written and so beautiful. And I love that their relationship didn't work out and was about being at different places and exploring that unapologetically as opposed to stereotyping a gay relationship.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I love it.
Number one?
So my number one is actually David and Patrick. Mm-hmm. It's my number one. Yeah, I love that relationship so much. The thing that I like, a lot of it reminds me of Us. I like how different David and Patrick are and how they manage to find one another in kind of the most random of situations. There was no forced interaction. The way that it happened was just kind of bizarre, but it's super authentic. They really love each other. The way Patrick understands David and just,
which is not easy to do,
and just gets him and just loves him
and can dismantle him with one sentence,
and it's not a problem. And he'll apply his under eye cream even when he's, like even when David is like being ridiculous. Yeah, even when all this stuff happened, but he gets him because he loves him so much that all of that stuff just doesn't matter to him. He's just with the person that he loves, and that's something I just really, it just speaks to me, and I just think that it's beautiful. I think it's a wonderful relationship.
It's a great one.
That being said, we would love to hear from you. Tell us who your top 3 TV relationships are, LGBTQ TV relationships are, so that we can learn a little bit more about you and what you're watching and what you think about all these relationships on television. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Relationship. Thank you for watching as we've talked more about this week's topic from the podcast.
Make sure you visit our website, podrelationship.com. For more content and information about the podcast.
And while you're there, make sure you fill out a listener situation or email us at relationshipquestions@gmail.com. Once a month, we will answer your questions on the podcast and do our best to give some guidance.
If you're not a Patreon member already, go to our website, patreon.com/podrelationship, and donate today. Your donations will give you early access to the podcast and even give you behind-the-scenes interviews with our weekly guests.
And don't forget to visit Parasso-USA.com today for all your shave and beard needs. Use promo code Relationshit20 at checkout and get 20% off your favorite shaving creams, aftershaves, or beard oils and washes so you can look and feel as amazing as we look and feel even during the coronavirus.
And finally, be sure to hop on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to continue the conversation. We are at Pod Relationship. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
We love you all. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.